Thank you very much for joining me today, Tamsyn. I very much appreciate this. And I thought we might kick off by just getting you to introduce yourself. Tell a little bit about yourself.
Sure. Thanks for having me. And thanks for inviting me along. So I'm Tamsyn White. I'm a registered psychologist with about 20 years of experience at this stage. I've kind of been everywhere in the psychology world over the past 20 years. So I started my internship in public mental health and then did a little bit of victims of crime work and some occupational rehab, which I hated, and lots and lots and lots of assessments. And then kind of fell into working therapeutically with kids over the past 10-ish years, I think. And at the moment, I'm the team lead at for the psychology team only at a massive multidisciplinary clinic based in Ballarat, where I live. Has a location in Bacchus Marsh, and I've just joined the team about 3 months ago. So I'm also a mum. I've got 2 kids. I've been married for 25 years. This is making me feel very old, Danielle. So
Oh, I know. I said something the other day about about an old workplace, and I'm like, oh, but that was 20 years ago now. And I'm like, no, no, it was 23 years ago. I can say that this workplace was 23 years ago now.
I can say I had a baby 19 years ago, and that's terrifying.
Yeah. Oh my God.
She's actually like a genuine full-grown adult now.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. Well, I suppose that's part of, and so I'm talking to you today about the SPARKS approach, and it's funny because actually I was thinking of you the other day. I was doing this post about the tendency, particularly, and speaking of age, I guess, like I said, old school methods of training and all that sort of stuff was very much sink or swim, and they relied on the fact that we were all these people-pleasing perfectionists that wouldn't say no and would take pride then in swimming. So we would do whatever it takes, but it set us up for some very unhealthy patterns, I think, in later life and later career. I was thinking of you and some of your early experiences that we had talked about, and thinking how very fitting that is. So SPARKS might turn out to be the group for
the oldies, the golden oldies.
The golden oldies, yeah, the ones who learnt by the we're going to throw you in the deep end and sink or swim, and you swam, but you learnt some bad habits along the way.
Oh, I totally did. And one of my earliest experiences as a provisional psychologist in my internship was, I think it might have been my 3rd or 4th day of my internship, having my then manager, who was a very old school even back then, so she would be ancient school now, psychiatric nurse, turn around and say to me literally these words, like, do not think you are anything special. I could hire another 20 of you tomorrow. So don't you dare think that you're anything special to us, or like we're going to go out of our way to do anything to make life easier for you. Right before they started sending me on home visits to, convicted murderers' houses and people who were in active psychotic states. So yes, it was very much a sink or swim environment. Yep.
Yes, I had very similar experiences. That was one of the ones I was talking about in the post. Was my first week in Melbourne and first day on the job, arriving at the place in Elstonwick and being told, okay, you've got to go out to Frankston. One of your clients is on the train tracks with a knife threatening the police. Can you go and do that? And I'm like, where's Frankston?
Oh dear. Oh no, you were in for a bit of learning.
Oh yeah, I learned a lot that day. I did learn a lot that day, and I was really proud of the fact that I swam. But it did. It just reinforced that mentality I think that a lot of us already have when we enter the profession, that it's all on you, and it is all your responsibility, and there can be pride in that, certainly, because that's what you were sort of often raised to believe, and then the workforce just kind of reinforces it, and off we go.
Yes.
So given that you do come from the old sink and swim school of learning, and I mean, you might have answered the question. So 3 months ago, we were doing the inaugural Sparks group coaching program. That was in August, and you didn't sign up for that one, but you have signed up for this one coming up in November. So I suppose I'm curious, what was the barrier, or what was stopping you back in August, and what allowed it to become a priority, or allowed you to make yourself a priority for the November group?
Such a good question. And I knew that you were going to ask something along those lines tonight. So I have been kind of reflecting on that in the lead up to us meeting up tonight. Look, I told myself at the time that it was practicalities. I told myself I had a sinus surgery in May. These last 12 months of my life have probably been the most challenging from a medical standpoint in my family. My husband had a heart attack last November, and really serious open heart surgery. Just after that, then I went on to have this very non-serious, sinus surgery. It's a septoplasty. People have them all the time and recover really quickly. But I have some chronic illnesses, and I don't recover from surgeries really quickly. And so there were some financial concerns. We were catching up on finances that had been lost over that time frame. And I was making a lot of excuses about, I knew the program from, I've been following your work for a long time. So I'd been aware of the Sparks program. I'd followed along with one of the Sparks challenges on Facebook, albeit very quietly in the background, not posting a lot, sorry.
That's all right. That's what most people were doing. It's fair.
Yeah. And I had found a lot of value in that. But I was telling myself, look, I have done lots of self-care PDs in the past, including your initial integrative self-care.
My integrated one, yes, my original, yes.
And then they expanded the advanced integrative.
And the non-sexy self-care,
Yep. And I had found a huge amount of value in those. They had been so very, very different to any previous self-care training that I had done. And I was kind of like, no, I'm good with my self-care. Plus, I have all of this life stuff that I need to do. And also, I don't want to be dialing into a meeting after work. I am busy. I, am setting up a brand new program in the practice that I'm in. I'm in a new job. I'm far too busy and important, basically. No, less about the important, more about
that time pressure, that time crunch is something that that a lot of people struggle with or are concerned about, and that makes sense. I suppose because, well, traditionally, if you're signing up for that kind of stuff after work, it is much more of a, I don't know, it is much more work, whereas and then we did talk about that the groups are, I mean, one, you can bring a glass of wine, you can be sitting on the couch in your pajamas, you can be like, it's very chill.
Yeah, just come as you are.
It's certainly not like any group I've been a part of. And I think the fact that the original program was only 4 weeks and everybody came up with a suggestion and then voted to say, no, we want to keep going another couple of weeks. That was massive. I was not expecting that. But they were getting so much out of those calls, and we were doing those all on a Friday afternoon, which I thought at the time was like, how's that going to go? But they turned up and participated, and everybody got a lot out of it. And that it didn't feel like you were signing up for a late night PD or something like that. It was more like, I don't know, like a Zoom chat with friends than anything else, where you just happened to be talking about this particular subject.
Yeah.
Because it was talking about your week and what had gone well and what hadn't gone well, and how you had managed to balance and juggle all of the various things that life throws at us. And so no, that's really interesting. And I suppose if you think about time and money is always precious, but was particularly precious for you at that time as well. Was there any guilt attached to, and I can't spend this time and money on me, or was it more
Oh yeah,
yeah,
that's one of my it depends on what your training background is, but that's one of my internalized scripts
yeah,
is I grew up in a very um probably low middle income family. My dad was a tradie, self-employed tradie. My
yeah,
mum was a stay-at-home mum. There was not a lot of money around growing up. So spending money on myself is a massive problem for me.
yeah.
And my husband and I have fights about it in terms of like, I would really like to buy some skincare. And he's like,
Go buy some skincare. Yeah,
what
just buy it.
what is stopping
Yeah,
you? And I'm like
yeah,
the internal guilt, and he goes, I can't help you with that. I'm sorry, I can't help you with the guilt. All I can
yeah,
say
yeah, yeah.
is you work
Oh,
hard enough to
yeah,
to warrant spending
yeah.
some
You
money
know,
on
have some
yourself.
moisturizer.
Yeah, and for God's sake, you need it, love. So so he can be pretty grounding, which is really lovely. And we're probably, middle income, I would say. Like we're solidly middle class
Mm,
these days, but we still think both of us, both my
yeah,
husband and I, like low income,
yeah.
low income families.
That was yeah, you're really going to love week 2 of Sparks.
Oh, good.
Because we do a lot of um and it was almost accidental how it came up, but one of the things that we did sort of discover as we're working through this was that part of that self-sacrificing is often playing those old internalized scripts, and so there was the one person found themselves, and it was something that they would never have even noticed before, but they found themselves having a debate. There was 2 types of cereal that they really wanted, and they're like, oh, I should only buy one. And then they noticed having this debate and go, I can buy 2 boxes of cereal if I want. Like, I'm 40.
Okay.
Like, I can.
I probably shouldn't say this now. It should probably be an after story, but no, we're being truthful and honest here. I bought linen sheets for myself
Ooh,
about a year ago, and one of them, we've had 2 sets on high rotation. One of
yeah,
them sprung a tear, and I purchased a brand new one the other night for myself, and then had
yeah,
a real beat up session, like a
yeah,
replacement sheet that was $150, and it's such a luxury item. And oh my God, why did I do that?
yeah,
We could have just
yeah,
gone back to the old cotton flannelette or whatever sheets. And
right,
my
yeah,
gosh, it's $150 sheet. Get over yourself,
right.
woman. So,
I'm so
yeah.
glad you've noticed that though, and you're aware of that happening, and
Mm,
that, like, even if we count that as, like a big ticket item, although, yeah, I mean,
mm,
$150 it's, but yeah, in terms of mindset, big ticket
mm.
item. Um, we had other people talking about it in ways like, one person it was the amount of cheese that she puts on a cheese toasty. She's
Oh,
like,
wow.
because I've always had really, really thin slices of cheese, because that's what we were taught,
It
like
was
that,
a money
otherwise it's
saving.
greedy. And then again,
Yeah.
she's suddenly kind of gone, I can have as much cheese as I bloody like, so I buy the cheese, I can afford
Yeah.
$8 worth of cheese this week instead of 4. Like, this
Yeah.
is, and for me it was and this is the hilarious part as well. I created Sparks, and I've been working it and implementing it and all the rest of it for myself for a year while I've been doing all of these, the coaching sessions and the training and stuff. And going through the group and having that, like, kind of having to do the 10 minutes of reflection every day, because I was doing it along with the group members, which I do in the
Mm.
group as well, because I think it's only fair. But it actually, like, yeah, there were still blind spots and all the rest of it that I wasn't aware of, including I got this new shower gel, and it smelled really, really, really nice.
Yep.
And I'm like, oh, this is gorgeous. I could use a bit more of this. But and then I went, I can use a bit more of this. And I suddenly realized that for nearly 30 years, I'd stuck to 1 pump of shower gel because that's what we had to do at home. If you had more than 1 pump of the shower gel,
You're
yes,
in
and
trouble.
then you had to use the nanny soap, and nobody wanted to use the
Ah,
nanny soap.
mm.
But I suddenly went, yeah, I've been buying my own damn shower gel for, yeah, nearly 30 years, and I can have 3 pumps if I want. And then I went nuts, and I got 6. And
Yeah.
oh my God, yes, the voices got kind of loud at that point. But I enjoyed the hell
Yeah.
out of it. And by the end of the week, I was routinely using like 3 or 4 pumps and still feeling a little bit like, like I was doing something naughty.
Oh, I love that. I'm so pleased for you that you've been able to break through that.
But it was so funny as well. And like within a week, one, I mean, noticing that there was this internalized thing that I didn't even realize I was still living by. And then two, breaking through that guilt and
Mm.
pushing through and all the rest of it, but with all of these other people who were also pushing through the guilt and pushing through, whether it was someone else got out the good tea set that had been handed down through like 3 generations and no one had ever drunk a cup of tea out of.
And they, like, yes, there are, yeah, you've just made me
Yeah,
think of like those
yeah,
good things that you do put
yeah,
away and that you never
yes,
use, but they bring you so much joy when you
yes.
do. And some of them for good reasons, like yeah, I can think of an example, um, but I have a particular perfume that I love, and it's not even a particularly expensive perfume, but I save it for special occasions because I don't want to, go through it.
Yeah,
And look, I could buy a bottle of that damn perfume once a month easily.
yeah,
So
yeah.
it's
But it's that
that
mindset shift.
scripting,
Yeah,
yeah, and that
and
that old script
yeah,
has really purposed itself
yeah, yeah,
several
yes. You've
decades.
outstripped its usefulness. Yes.
Yes, thank you for the reframe. Yeah, and it has been not very useful for several decades now. So I am so aware of it, and yet, yeah, absolutely still impacts some of my choices. Like, okay, I'm not going to purchase this. I remember seeing a PD earlier on last year that I really wanted to
Mm.
do. I think it was like a neurobiology of everything, really. I think PD, and it
Yes,
was
your
worth
biology
about
of
six
everything. Yeah,
hundred
yeah,
dollars, and I was
yeah,
like,
yeah,
no, no, that's like a massive
yeah.
rabbit hole interest area of mine, but I don't, I don't
Yeah,
need it. I can just read
yeah.
some of the many books on my shelf that are not quite
But then we don't
neuro.
read the books either. We've got all of the books and then
Yeah,
we don't read the books because we don't make the time
exactly.
for that. And a lot of the time, and this is kind of where the sparks and the overlap happens between the professional and the personal mindset is highlighting some of these highlighting some of these blind spots in things, but making shifts so that it's not just I'm not just reading this book because I need to read it for this one particular client because there's one piece missing, and if I can just find it in this book, then I'll fix
Mm,
everything. And it's just I'm just reading this book because it's interesting and it has relevance to me and my work, and like I don't have to. I mean, one, reading a book is productive. It's a different type
mm,
of product, but it's still productive. But two, it I don't have to get a practical application out of every single task. There doesn't have to
mm.
be a clear takeaway, immediate return on investment for doing that PD or something or other like
Yeah.
that. If it's something in an area that really lights you up and you're really interested in it, then you're going to feel really good and recharged, and it's going to spark all of that interest and all the rest of it, and that's worth a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Getting away from this sense of almost quid pro quo. Was it quid pro quo? I can never
Quid
say
pro quo.
it. That one. The
Yeah.
the, the Hannibal Lecter thing. Yeah, but that there's got to be an even out distribution of I put this in, I
Yeah.
get this out. Put this in, I get this out. Like no.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and that's probably, another level of scripting that I do really align with, that if I'm going to, put this in, then I have to get this measurable thing back out,
Yeah.
and or it has to be justifiable
Yeah.
to my weird sense of how I justify expenditure on myself.
Yeah.
So other people don't demand that justification from me any longer. Like, I don't
No,
answer to anybody really,
but it's
apart from,
still
my mortgage broker, I guess, sometimes. But, I need to kind of have in my mind that, well, it'll be worth it because of XYZ. The input wasn't, I guess, I wasn't worth like, it wasn't that the
yeah.
program wasn't worth it to me. It was that I
I,
wasn't
yeah.
worth spending the money on at the time. And yeah, and I think you asked
Mm.
me kind of what had shifted between
Yes.
then and now.
Yeah.
A couple of things. One was that I had really sat down with, I guess, some lingering, I mean, the medical stuff over the past year has been just ludicrous and is ongoing and probably will never end in my life with the chronic illness stuff, which I know
No.
that you are all aware of and appreciate, and from your own perspective.
Well, and also where Sparks comes in handy, because when there's certain aspects of your life you have no control over, it's useful to have something specific to help manage that. Yes.
Yes. But I'd noticed a sense of discomfort, but I hadn't actually done any self reflection on that. And what I came out with was, oh, wow, I was in some pretty challenging circumstances for a really long time. And I'm much closer to, if not actually over the line of burnout than I had realized. I'm pretty crispy around the edges at the moment. So that reflection had made me go, okay, so I'm already seeing a psychologist for therapy. I'm already engaged in self-care practices on a daily, a weekly, a monthly basis. I'm already doing all of this stuff that, I'm really quite self-compassionate these days when I just have no energy to do anything after work and I slump in bed and read trash for, 2 hours and I get dinner served to me and bed. I am, really well supported as well in a really lovely relationship, but also I'm still here. I'm still in this a super crispy state of being. So something has to change. And I was aware of Sparks, and I had this very supportive, lovely friend slash colleague slash supervisor kind of notice something, and I was like, well, that's the person that I want to choose to work with and put my trust and, quite frankly, give my money to if I'm going to engage in this kind of PD, because I know that your previous self-care PDs were revolutionary for me. They were so, every self-care PD that I had done prior to integrative was here, was essentially, these are the reasons why it's a good idea to look after yourself. Yep.
Get it.
Duh. And here's, different domains of self-care. Yep. Totally aware of that. I teach this to other people for kind of a living. And now develop a list of chores, one from each of these domains to walk away. And now you have to do extra stuff when you're already burdened.
Yeah, it's another bloody to-do list, which is the last thing you need when you're already insanely busy and overwhelmed or burnt out. Or it drives me insane.
So the idea of the integrative self-care is not stuff you have to do as a list of chores, but just an approach to understanding how you need to close stress loops and how you need, if you can't bring them to conclusion, how you need to support yourself to be well regardless, and what kinds of things, and really targeted, brain-based. And I am all about the neuroscience, baby. So if of the really neuroscience-based, evidence-based practices that you can engage in that are not, here's another 10 things on your to-do list.
I mean, you're never going to do it in the first place. I think the biggest hurdles that I see that led me to develop like integrative in the first place, and now Sparks, was that if you're burning out, you don't know that you're burning out.
No.
Your brain's not working. So, and I was the same. By the time I figured it out, I was so far gone. It was not good. So you're already in this place where your brain is just not working properly, and then you want to give it more stuff to try and do like that. That's never going to work. But the other part of it for me, and this is the part that why integrative wasn't enough. Integrative and the non-sexy stuff was good for recovering from burnout, because it addressed it like a medical problem almost, and like these are the things that will help resolve the physical symptoms, the neurological symptoms, the psychological, all that sort of stuff. But in terms of then, like everybody else, like our clients, when they're doing better, they stop doing the stuff.
Yes. Oh my goodness, yes.
So I was feeling better. I wasn't burnt out anymore. So I stopped doing all the stuff and then went, oh, crap, now I'm burning out again. Right. How did that happen?
Right. And that,
Yeah,
is that pretty
yeah,
much describes what I had my roadmap to,
yeah,
burnout prevention, and
yeah,
I was doing great and feeling fantastic actually for quite a long time
yeah,
from a burnout point of view. And yeah, and then my husband went and tried to
yeah.
dial on me, and every part of my self-care plan
Went out the
went
window.
went
Yeah,
out the window. It moved into
yeah,
survival, and we were in survival. I was working
yeah,
Saturdays and doing all of the housework, which was
yeah.
ridiculous. Now I look back on it because
Yeah,
more than
Sparks
capable.
would have been helpful back then as well, because and that's what I really like about Sparks is it's adaptable. So even
Yeah,
when you're in survival mode, and yeah, there's no way in hell this is the time you're going to go and have a massage or whatever,
no,
but you can still be doing even just questions, even just simple questions to ask yourself. Literally one of the exercises or the 10-minute task for one of the days was and is to apply the 2 beers and a puppy test to your friends. Do you know that test actually?
no, but I'm really liking the sound of it.
It cracks me up. I love it. I've forgotten the name of the guy. It's this guy who works for like the New York Times or the New York Post. I don't know. He works for some New York magazine or something. And he wrote this article about how you determine your friendship group and who you want in and who you don't and all of that kind of thing. And I talked a lot about things like, like braving. I love the braving acronym for that.
Mm,
And are they, how do you meet this criteria? How do they meet this criteria? But his was so much easier and so much simpler and you have such a visceral response to it. So the question is, and this is, I'm giving away one whole day of content from the program, but so the question is, you look at your friendship groups because from a lot of us, we tend to put our time and our energy more into the squeaky wheels and
mm,
don't because we know it's going to be really painful and there's going to be a tantrum if we don't, instead of prioritizing the people that we actually sometimes really want to be spending time with, but we know they'll be okay if we cancel on them or we whatever. So
yeah.
so the quick question was, all right, so you think about, all right, who would I make the time and bother to go to the pub for a beer with or go to the coffee shop for a coffee or go somewhere and have a drink.
Yeah.
And you go through all your friends and you're like, oh yeah, I'd do that. And who would you stick around for a second drink with? So who
Mm,
would be the one that you're just like, no, let's stick around versus, we should do this, we should catch up, but we're gonna have one drink and go our separate ways and that's enough and we're good.
yeah.
Who do you want to stick around for the second drink with? And then who would you trust to look after your brand new puppy for a weekend? And you kind of know, like there's this instinctual sort of like,
Yeah.
oh, immediately I thought of 5 people that are like, yeah, they're not getting my puppy. Like, I'll go have a drink with them, but they're not getting the puppy.
That's,
Yeah.
yeah, wow.
But that's it. That's the whole task for like the second or the third Thursday in the group is to run the 2 beers and a puppy test against some of the relationships.
Yeah.
Not that there's anything wrong with having friends who you're like, I'm not going to trust you with the puppy, but
Yeah,
we can have
yeah.
a couple of drinks. That's cool. That's great. But it's knowing who you can rely on. It's knowing what
And
kind of friend they are and when.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I can see the real value in
Mm.
that in terms of, yeah, this person might be a lot of fun
Yeah.
and I might love going out for 2 beers with them, but
Yeah.
yeah, I wouldn't trust them with my puppy. And yet, are they the people that I'm prioritizing because they are more fun? Then yeah, absolutely, I can
Yeah.
see
Yeah.
the real value in doing an
It's
exercise like
it's
that.
such a simple little question because you immediately know. And when you one of the things we do as well is, look ahead and block out time with those people who are kind of past all three. You'd go for a drink, you'd stay for a second, you let them mind the puppy. Those people you need to be prioritizing time with, whether it's
Yes.
time to, just have a call once a month, whether it's time, with one of the things that I did after the challenge last year was there's a couple of friends and we all have stupid schedules, but we've booked out a dinner once every 3 months
Mm,
and failing hospitalization, which did happen this year, but generally we don't mess with that. It's kind of
yeah.
set in stone, and that's been so good and so nice. And those people are in my yeah, I'd have the drink, I'd have the second drink, and they actually one of them has minded my puppy, so
Yeah. And I
it's
guess for
yeah.
other people, and just, thinking kind of, I guess, out here that I feel like I've probably deprioritized most of my relationships over the
Yeah,
past year.
yeah,
And so a lot of my friends are people that I would go to the pub and stay for a second, and they would be trusted to mind my puppy, but they've not been high enough on the priority list
yeah,
to catch up with on a regular basis. In fact, as you're saying that, I'm thinking of a practice manager at one of my old roles who is just the most gorgeous human being, and we had developed a friendship over a long period of time,
yeah.
and I had to cancel our last dinner because I was sick, and I haven't rescheduled it, and really value that friendship, and so need to reach out
But,
to her if I want to
but
prioritize.
that is the thing as well, because that one, you know that you could get in touch with her in 6 months' time and you're still going to be fine.
Yes.
And that's lovely. That's great. But it also means that what relationships are being prioritized,
Yeah.
and what are you saying yes to that's getting in the way of you saying
Yeah.
yes to catching up with her and all of that. So, and that's really kind of, this is what I mean. Like Sparks isn't about a checklist, or it's going in each of the domains and looking at what are the questions we can be asking ourselves to figure out, are we optimizing not even self-care, but are we optimizing just ourselves in
Mm.
our lives? Are we
Prioritizing
prioritizing
ourselves.
what's actually going to be recharging and important to us? Or do we have some script running in the background that says, oh no, you shouldn't do that, you shouldn't do that, you couldn't do this, that gets in the way?
Yeah.
Which is probably a decent place to finish up with. So of the 6 domains then, so we've got safety and boundaries, so emotional safety, physical safety, getting comfortable putting a boundary in place and maintaining it to increase that safety. We've got physical health and body care, but not necessarily in the way traditionally people think about it.
Yeah.
It might include a massage, but it might just include putting more cheese on your toasty. Achievement and acknowledgement. So, breaking down the overwhelming to-do lists into bite-sized chunks and making sure you give yourself on a pat for acknowledging the stuff, even if it comes easy. Relationships and connections, which, like evaluating how you're prioritizing all of those. The kindness and nurturance. So that might be, and you can see the integration sort of here as well. So like your linen sheets, that was showing you some kindness. That was physical care as well, because we spend a lot of time sleeping. So sleeping on something nice is good for our bodies. It was an achievement because you broke an old script. You went, no, I'm going to do this anyway. But yeah, giving that kindness and nurturance to ourselves. And then the spontaneity and entertainment, which is generally the first thing we let go of when things get overwhelming.
Oh, absolutely. And yeah, so I'm not sure whether there was a question in there, but
Possibly I may have forgotten the question.
I think the question was of those 6 domains,
Yes.
which definitely the spontaneity and joy and fun has been something that, in fact, I mentioned it in a text message to my husband just today, that, that the capacity to feel joy, give joy, and receive joy at the moment is pretty limited in my life by survival and recovering from survival and feeling like I'm going to have to run back into the arms of survival at any moment, even though actually I might be in a much safer, like he's in no danger. He's doing beautifully. He is so healthy.
But that's such a good point, because when those other domains are suffering, when we don't feel safe, and part of this is not feeling safe yet to be happy, because it's like, no, if I stop paying attention for 1 second, it's all going to blow up again. If I stay vigilant, if I stay on my guard, then it'll be okay, which obviously it's not going to make any difference. But yeah, we tell ourselves that, which decreases safety. And if we don't feel safe, we can't play, we can't.
Yeah, exactly. And the I guess because I do work with kids and adolescents and in an assessment arena as well, a lot of my capacity to play and feel joy is expended at work, and then I don't have, at home it's about getting the laundry done and getting clothes washed for Monday morning so that everybody's ready to go to work and or school, and just making sure there's enough food in the fridge and a bill's paid, and is the dog barking overnight, and if so, whose turn is it to get up to her, and
there's a lot of have tos that we have to juggle and manage, and
and the life admin, I guess, of just, you know, living a complex, and everybody's life is complex these days. I don't know anybody who isn't living in complex circumstances these days. But it did get to that point of going, okay, so if all of my capacity for joy is being expended at work, and my relationships are deprioritized, including my, you know, my family relationships, my relationship with my husband, who nearly died this time last year, and with the kids, and my relationship with myself, to just, you know, want to seek joy and self-care out, and self-compassion for those moments where I am feeling less well than I want to, are also diminished, then it, you know, it really is time to invest in the person that I could
Yes.
be in 6 episodes time.
Yeah, yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
6
Yeah,
Spark
in
sessions
just 6 episodes.
time.
Yeah, but no, in it like, and I think I've shared some of the stats and stuff with you, and we know
Yeah.
that's good, but just qualitatively, the difference in people, and how they talk, and how they talk about themselves, and like that's been amazing. And I think, actually, I'll send you one of our clients. One of the participants did do similar, like a bed revamp to give herself, you know, something to look forward to going to bed to, and that kind of thing. And but was worried about the money. And if you say, like, would you spend that money on your kid? Like, yeah, like, okay. But yeah, just learning to put yourself into the equation. And I forgot the other point. It was a really, really good ending point that I was going to come up with too. Oh, no, that's right. I will leave you with one more strategy that you can put in place, because the program doesn't start for 3 weeks. So in terms of injecting some more spontaneity, and this seems kind of ridiculous, but my approach in Sparks, and this is like day 5, I think we talk about this, is planned spontaneity. So
Yeah.
when you look ahead to, and I just do it a week at a time, but like this week, for example, is one of my like medically weeks. So I've got a whole bunch of doctor's appointments and blood tests and scans and all that kind of stuff. And I was looking ahead, and then for some reason I put the dentist in there as well. And I'm looking ahead and kind of going, oh, like
Yeah.
this week just sucks. So it was really important then to go in, and so, you know, I sat down, my husband and I sit down on Sunday night and work out the calendars, and we gave ourselves 10 minutes yesterday, because yesterday was heavy on the tests and stuff. So we gave ourselves 10 minutes yesterday we could carve out for planned spontaneity. And we ended up playing Yahtzee for 10 minutes. And it was awesome. And it was the best part of the day. And I know it's really geeky and nerdy.
No, I love a good game of Yahtzee, and I don't get to play it.
And but yes, that's the takeaway of that, is that
Yeah, I
especially
like
at
that.
the start, you gotta look ahead, and like I said, I do it once a week, to look ahead and kind of go like, oh, that day is going to be rough, so we're going to make sure, one, it gives you something to look forward to, and two, it means you don't miss out on the fun stuff.
Yeah, you've
Yeah.
just reminded me that I've been meaning to take one of the games that I bought for the kids, my clients, in home
Yeah,
with me, because I had such a lot of fun playing it with one of
yeah,
my child clients. So I figured I was going to take it home one night and play it with my
definitely.
family. So I'll do that
Perfect.
tonight. Plan
Perfect.
spontaneity,
Yes, yes.
spontaneous plan spontaneity.
Yeah, it is. And again, that's what I mean. Like, it sounds a bit silly. It sounds sort of
No.
counterintuitive. But you do, you know. The other thing we
Yeah.
do in the first week is we come up with like our inner child playlist. All of the songs that kind of get us going and get us feel like we're, you know,
Oh yeah.
gonna want to have a little dance at the blue light disco kind of thing. That's probably really aged me now, actually. Was that a thing in
Well,
Melbourne?
I'm
No,
pretty sure I grew up in Geelong, and they definitely had them in Geelong.
that part, that those songs that as soon as you hear them, you can't help but kind of get moving and that kind of thing. And, you know, have it playing while you're getting ready in the morning or that sort of thing. So
Yeah.
that's the kind of planned spontaneity, is just, yeah, thinking ahead. How can I inject a little bit more fun into the day and or the week or the whatever?
Yeah, and it was amazing to me that how simple,
Yeah,
from integrative, self-care, the you know, move your body to unstick your mind
yeah,
was, and that stick on my favorite boppy song and have a a bit of a bop in private where no one can see me usually, and or with a very select few who I'm happy to socially humiliate myself in front of. But nonetheless, that was one of my go-to strategies then, and how simple it was. And it wasn't, that's not something that you would traditionally think of as self-care. So I can't tell you how excited I am. Sorry, I just rocked my desk. Can't tell you how excited I am to join the Sparks program. And I guess that was actually when I thought about it, I had a pit of anxiety in my stomach because of those old scripts.
Most people do.
Yeah, but because of the old scripts, like I'm not worth this money. I don't want to, be. I can't think of the word. I don't want to invest this time. I don't want to, like put myself forward to say I'm going to be at this place at this time every week, and I don't know how I'm going to be feeling, and what happens if I don't want to go, and blah blah blah, and then it's wasted money, and what do I. But ultimately what it came down to was, after the pit of anxiety, was this idea that actually I would like to get back to enjoying my life, and to do that I do deserve to, and I've worked hard to get to this point in my career, so why am I not using is the wrong word. Why am I using the resources that I'm aware of, the people that I know are really talented at what they do, i.e. you, to get myself to a point in my life that I want to be at?
And I think that's perfect, and that's kind of it in a nutshell as well. That we just spend so much time focused on everybody else's stuff. It's just become habit to not prioritize, to not want to spend the money on, you're not going to get a certificate at the end of this that qualifies you to do EMDR or whatever. Like this is purely investing in you, and in something that you can't really, like the participant, if you could have seen her face when she made the cheese toasty realization, like if I could market that face, if I could market the joy and the happiness and just the relief in that moment of just like, oh my God, I can eat as much cheese as I like. That was priceless. So simple, such a little thing, but that's how we make change, is those little steps, those little changes to the scripts. So I can't wait. I can't wait for you to join in and get into this one as well. It's going to be good.
Thank you so much for making me aware of it, and just giving me the right jab at the right time. Jab isn't the right word. The right boost at the right time to really want to engage, because it's been so helpful to make that decision, and I am genuinely excited. I can't wait for the group to start.
And you don't have to work, like if you can't make it to one, so there's a weekly group coaching call in all of the weeks except week 5. But if you can't make it live, they're recorded. And we had people, that obviously things happened and all the rest of it, couldn't make it, and they just watched it back or listened back afterwards. They're fun, and I think you'll want to, but stuff does happen as well. So that's fine. It's not going to, the real change, the real stuff is that daily, just 10 minutes, 600 seconds of reflecting on a question, like the 2 beers and a puppy, thinking about the change that creates all by itself is pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely. And that 600 seconds was something that we chatted about. It came from
that was yours.
Well, it wasn't. I took it from a neurodivergent couples post.
ADHD love.
Yeah,
that's right. They do the 300 seconds. Like, you've only got 5 minutes left to get ready. Oh, I'll have a shower. I'll do this. Yes. You got 300 seconds. Oh, why didn't you tell me? I got it. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, I was thinking about that concept and going, in 600 seconds, what do I really achieve generally? Yeah. Probably quite a lot in some circumstances, but at that time of night, on that time of day, probably another 3 Instagram videos.
Yep.
So, or 17, depending on the length of the video, I guess.
Or it'll be 1/3 of an episode of Nobody Wants This.
Or 3 pages that I read over and over again because I'm so exhausted of whatever trashy novel that I'm reading to escape life at the moment. So Yeah. So it's the well and truly worth the investment when I really sat down and thought about what is it that I'm actually investing versus what did I believe I was investing before.
Yes. Yes.
And just to reframe on the financial stuff as well, as in the financial payment for
Mm,
the course,
mm,
actually came from it was a similar. It didn't come from the bed sheet because the bed sheet came after, but it made me think about the bed sheet differently when I did finally purchase a bed sheet. Was
yeah, yeah,
$150 and probably 150 nights that it's going to be on my bed over the next year.
yeah,
It's $1 a
yeah,
night, and honestly,
yeah,
it's worth it for
yeah,
that fabric to me. And this was about, okay, so I'm spending 200 and I think $60 on my therapist, and I consider that money extremely well spent. She's well and truly qualified, and very much worth that money to me. And this is less than 3 sessions with her.
yeah, yeah,
So even if I were to take a pause in therapy, I see my therapist monthly, it would be for 1.5 sessions. And
yeah.
she would fully endorse me doing that. And, she's one of
Mm,
those therapists who would push me at this.
good.
And so, when I did do a reframe of what is worth it, what's not worth it, what it came down to was something medical is always worth it to me.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
something that is just me based, I have to convince myself of the justification. But this is more than just me based. This is actually about me giving back to myself so that I can start being the person I want to be for other people too. And,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
kind of therapist that I want to be again, the kind of supervisor I want to be, report writer that I want to be.
And I mean, that is part of it as well. Like one of the things that came out of certainly that last group was that, the confidence in session went up, and professional self-doubt went down. And we haven't looked at this because I wouldn't even beyond the scope of the groups, but we know that that therapeutic relationship is really important to client change. We know that the therapist's confidence in what they're doing is really important to change and retention and all that sort of stuff. So that can only be a good thing there. Not,
Absolutely.
not to mention that, yeah, the relationships with the people that I actually really care about and want to spend time with, giving myself permission to prioritize that has been massively different,
Yeah.
massively different, and in a very good way. And hopefully for them as well. Hopefully they're not
Yeah.
just like, oh my God, why did she do this thing? Now she's here all the time. But
Oh, now there's an old script that maybe needs.
yeah, that was definitely an old pathway. That was definitely an old script thing coming in there. And I don't believe that. I don't believe that's the case. I was
Yeah.
just being self-depreciating from habit. But yeah, I don't actually even believe that's the case anymore, which is pretty cool.
I have no idea what being self-depreciating from habit feels like or looks
No,
like. So,
no, it would be very foreign to you, I'm sure. Yes.
oh yes, absolutely.
But
So once again, I just do really want to thank you for making me aware and inviting me along and giving me the right, I guess, push at the right time for it to sink in this time, because you did invite me along to the first group, and I did swiftly sidestep the invitation. And this time, actually, I think you mentioned it once that a November group was
mm,
running, and I received an email a couple of days later that, just by happenstance, because I'm on your mailing list, not
yeah.
because you targeted me specifically, it's like, and now join. But yeah, because I'm just on 12 points mailing list, and I dove at it.
No, that's the thing. And anybody else who's watching this, November may not be the right group for you just yet, and that's cool. Follow along on socials, and I'll be sharing bits and pieces from the group as we go. But maybe we'll be doing it again next year. So just keep your eyes peeled. It might not be exactly the right time for you yet. That's fine. But this is too cool not to keep going. So it will. Yes. Yes. If I have any say in it at all, in terms of health wise and all the rest of it, then
Yes.
it'll keep going. Yes, for sure.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
people will, I'm sure they will benefit so much from it. So
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm excited to see what comes out of it from me, and excited to tell the people about it
Mhm.
after in on the other side.
this is the thing. This is what people don't know. This is my plan for world domination. It's just to get sparks into everything. I want to change the way that we talk about this stuff in the field, and just do something about this insane sink or swim mentality and the massive pressure we put on ourselves and the bit of the burnout factory that we've got going at the moment.
Yeah, I think, with all of the information that we've got out there about how COVID has just worsened, basically world mental health, I think we're experiencing post-trauma response,
Yeah, yeah,
at least Victoria-wide at the moment, and mental health workers are no different from anybody else. So I like your thinking. I'm looking
excellent.
forward to seeing your world domination and excited to be a part of the early
Being
steps.
part of it, excellent. Thank you. All right. Yes, thank you very, very much for doing this. I really appreciate it.